Hello and welcome to the first of two videos for module N5. Bit of a fiddly one this, some funny little things, reciprocals, squares and square roots, and in fact cubes and cube roots. So let's have a look. What are we going to start with? Right, just think of a number. Now was it 2? Well, maybe not. Okay, well let's just pretend it was 2. Let's write 1 over that number. So 1 over 2 is a half. Now what do you get if you multiply 2 times a half? You get 1. Okay, not very remarkable, but there we go. Okay, think of another number. Was it 5? No? Okay. But let's write 1 over that number. 1 over 5. What do you get if you multiply 5 times 1/5? Yep, you get 5/5, which is 1. Should we do one more? Go on then. Think of a number. 100. Write 1 over the number. 1 over 100. What do you get if you multiply those two together? 100 times 1/100th is 1. Okay. What do you notice? Well, let's go back to 2. When we wrote 1 over 2, we have written something called the reciprocal. So 1 over 2, or a half, is the reciprocal of 2. It's just 1 over it. Okay, and if you multiply a number by its reciprocal, you get the answer 1. Okay, so there's nothing really to it, but sometimes they will ask about a reciprocal for a 1-mark question on the exam. And there it is. Now, what about a half? What if we write 1 over a half? Well, what that actually means is how many halves in 1? Well, how many halves in 1 is 2. So actually 1 divided by a half is 2. So that means that 2 is the reciprocal of a half. Now we earlier found out that half was the reciprocal of 2. So what we can now say is that 2 and a half are the reciprocals of each other. Okay, so they are the reciprocals of each other. And if you multiply them together, you get 1. So a half is the reciprocal of 2. 2 is the reciprocal of 1/2. So what's the reciprocal of 5? That's 1 over, 1 over 5. So what's the reciprocal of 1/5? 5. Okay, so what we've established is that to get the reciprocal of a number, we're at 1 over. Now what's the reciprocal of 5? We write 1 over it. What's the reciprocal of 1/5? Now what we've actually done mathematically there is we've turned it upside down, and we get a funny fraction called 5/1. But we don't really go around using oneths. We would call 5/1 just the number 5. Okay, so if you want the reciprocal of a fraction, you turn the fraction upside down. Let's have a look then. What's the reciprocal of 4? Yeah, we got this, 1 over 4. What's the reciprocal of a quarter? Well, we turn it upside down, but no one ever uses oneths, so we call 4/1 4. Excellent. What's the reciprocal of 5/9? Well, to get the reciprocal of a fraction, you just turn it upside down. 9/5. Okay, what's the reciprocal of 7/3? Turn it upside down. 3/7. Okay, so we've got 2 things we've learnt so far. A little bit confusing, perhaps a little bit frustrating even. But to find the reciprocal of a whole number, for example 8, we write 1 over 8. To find the reciprocal of a fraction, e.g. 2/3, turn it upside down. 3 over 2. So there we are. We can find the reciprocal of any number. So, over to you for a little exercise. There are 10 in the homework book. And there's the first 5. You know what to do now. Press pause, work out the answers. Press play when you want the answers. Okay, how'd you get on? So let's have a look. Let's whiz through these, shall we? What's the reciprocal of 3? 1 over 3. 1 over 23? 1 over 111. Oh, there's a minus number. What happens to that then? Well, the reciprocal is 1 over minus 9. Now, we could write that as minus 1 over 9. Or we could write it as minus 1/9. We'd probably write it as the last one, minus 1/9. But you could write it as any of those forms, really. And it would be right. And then we've got a little bit of a letter in there. What's the reciprocal of x? Well, we just write 1 over x. Excellent. Let's have a look at the next 5 then. Ooh, where have they gone? There they are. What's the reciprocal of 1/9? Well, we just turn the fraction upside down, we get 9/1, which we know is the number 9. 3/7 becomes 7/3. What's the reciprocal of 21/5? 5/21. What's the reciprocal of -7/3? Well, it's 3/-7, and that's correct, but the convention would be to write it as -3/7 or even -3/7. And one to try and fool you on the end, but this hasn't worked, is it? What's the reciprocal of x/y? We just turn it upside down. So we've got y/x. Okay, if you've got any wrong, go back and change them. Make sure you understand them before you move on. 2. Square numbers and square roots. Oh, we got this think of a number thing again now. Right, think of a number, 5. Multiply it by itself. Okay, 5 5s, 25. Now 25 is a square number. And we came across these in Module 1 when we were doing prime factors. And we could write 5 with a little power of 2 there equals 25. 5 squared equals 25. Okay, let's think of a different number. Okay, 10. Multiply it by itself. 10 times 10 is 100. 100 is called a square number. Okay, and we write 10 squared equals 100. Alright, fair enough. Last one then, think of a number, 2. Multiply it by itself. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 is a square number. Now, can we go the other way? What do we mean by that? Well, we mean, what number multiplied by itself gives an answer of 4? Well, that's got to be 2. Okay. 2 is called the square root of 4. It's the number that if you multiply it by itself, you get 4. So we write square root of 4 equals 2. Now, here's a question for you. Is there another number that if you times it by itself, you get an answer of 4? Yes. There's -2. Think about it. -2 times -2 is equal to 4. So we say that the square root of 4 is +2 or -2. Well, we could just write 2 or -2. Now, we don't like writing all that kind of stuff in maths. We do like a confusing symbol, and so we're going to use this one here. The square root of 4 is equal to plus or minus 2, and it just means it's +2 or it's -2. And like all symbols in maths, it's trying to confuse us and make sure that we write as little as possible. So square root of 4 is plus or minus 2. Okay, what number times itself gives an answer of 100? So we know the answer is 10 or -10, so that is the square root of 100. And we write square root of 100 is plus or minus 10. Do you get the idea? Okay, so now here's one of the more straightforward exercises you'll have. Can you fill in the square roots on that little bit there, please? Square root of 1, square root of 4, etc. You know what to do. Press pause when you want the answers. Press play. Okay, how did it go? Well, hopefully you've got these. Square root of 1, square root of 4, etc. all the way up to the square root of 144 is plus or minus 12. It's really important with square roots we don't forget that plus or minus. Okay, last bit of this video, we're going to look at cube numbers and cube roots. So think of a number, 2, multiplied by itself and by itself again. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. Now 8 is a cube number, and we write 2 cubed, or 2 to the power 3 equals 8. You know what's going to come up now, don't you? Think of a number. There it is, 5. Multiply it by itself, and by itself again. 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. So we say 125 is a cube number, and we write 5 cubed equals 125. And there we go. We're sort of stressing the point a bit much here, aren't we? 10 times 10 times 10 is 1,000. 1,000's a cube number, and we write 10 cubed equals 1,000. Now you've probably guessed what's coming. Can we go the other way? So let's go back to 2. We cube it, we get 8. Can we go the other way? What number times itself again, gives an answer of 8? Well, what we're saying is what number cubed gives an answer of 8? Well, we know what it is. We had it on that page that's there. The answer is 2. 2 is called the cube root of 8. And we've got a very similar symbol, but we've got the square root symbol with a little 3 there, look. and that means it's the cube root of 8. So the cube root of 8 equals 2. Now is there another number that if you cube it you get an answer of 8? Because remember with the square roots we had all that plus or minus stuff. Now this time the answer is no. Think about it, if you've got minus 2 times minus 2 times minus 2, well minus 2 times minus 2 is plus 4, times minus 2 is minus 8. So it doesn't give an answer of 8. So actually we've just got one number for a cube root, and the cube root of 8 is 2. We've also got the cube root of minus 8 is minus 2. Okay, so it's slightly different from square roots. Let's just have a look then at another couple. What number times itself again? In other words, what number cubed gives an answer of 1,000? We know the answer is 10. 10 is the cube root of 1,000. And we use our cube root symbol there, and we've got to remember that the cube root of minus 1,000 will be minus 10. So over to you then for another nice straightforward exercise. Can you fill in the cube roots? We've got positive numbers 1 to 1,000 on the left and some negatives there on the right. Have a go, press pause, press play when you want the answer. Okay, how'd you get on? Well, let's have a look. The cube root of 1 is 1. Cube root of 8 is 2. Cube root of 27, etc. So hopefully you got those. So notice the cube root of a positive number is a positive number. Over on the right we've got the cube root of minus 1, minus 8, etc. So hopefully you got these. We got minus 1, minus 2, all the way up to the cube root of minus 125 is minus 5. Well, that's it. So before we go, let's have a summary. So we had reciprocals to start. 17 and 1/17 are the reciprocals of each other. What do you get if you multiply them? And that's it, you get 1. And then we had square numbers. 10 squared is 100. Minus 10 squared is also 100. So that means the square root of 100 is plus or minus 10. And then we had cube numbers. And we had 3 cubed is 27. So that means the cube root of 27 is 3. But we also found out that the cube root of minus 27 would be minus 3. Well, that's enough for one video. The second part of N5 concerns indices, and I'll speak to you on that one hopefully shortly. Bye for now.